Introduction. Come and sit on your heels. Let me show you what we are going to do. Just watch me first. You will raise your arms straight up like this and fold your hands. Then extend your index fingers so they touch each other and point to the sky. Allow your upper arms to softly touch your ears. If they don't, turn your elbows toward each other and they will. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Do not bend forward. And make sure your back is straight, not hollow like this. Tilt your pelvis a bit if needed. And smile. There is no need for strain in this position. Your eyes will be closed and focused on the spot between your eyebrows. We will use the mantra Sat Nam. Remember that Sat means truth and Nam means identity. So as you chant Sat Nam, you call upon your true identity, your soul. On Sat, you pull the navel point in and up. Keep in mind that the navel point is slightly lower than the belly point and more inward. On Nam, relax the navel point. We will repeat that movement on a steady rhythm of about 8 repetitions every 10 seconds. The breath will regulate itself. You don't need to worry about that. If there are no questions, please come into the position. Are you all set? Inhale and exhale. Make your upper body light. Inhale, exhale, and here we go. Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam. Hundreds of thousands of yogis worldwide will recognize the instructions of Sat Kriya. The Sanskrit word Sat means truth, and Kriya means an action to achieve a specific result. Sat Kriya is a photogenic practice from Yogi Bhajan's legacy that can be performed on its own or can be part of a yoga set with multiple exercises. It is said to strengthen the sexual system and stimulate its natural energy flow. Kundalini yoga, as taught by Yogi Bhajan, has hundreds of different yoga sets and meditations with promising names like Kriya to make you enchantingly beautiful, Kriya to develop human power, Kriya to relax and release fear, Kriya to throw off stress, Kriya to release pain and refresh yourself, and so on. Some Kriyas are relaxing or prepare you for deep meditation. Others are intense, physically challenging, and exhausting. Yoga teachers and practitioners can pick and choose from a wealth of materials available in books and on the internet. They will always find something to fit the needs of the moment. It never gets boring. Yogi Bhajan often combined classical yoga postures with eccentric exercises such as snoring, walking like an elephant, chewing like a cow, or pretending you are a giant crocodile, strong and mighty, slithering along a riverbank. Typical for this yoga style are the mantras woven through the sets, released in rock and roll, upbeat, psychedelic, or angelic-sounding compositions. They help maintain a steady rhythm during energetic and challenging body movements. For example, they give you strength while holding your arms like a halo above your head with your hands folded for 11 to 31 minutes. Or they support meditation and relaxation sessions. It is common for students to slip into a light trance through the repetitive rhythms of breathing patterns or while chanting mesmerizing mantras. Most practitioners enjoy being in such an altered state of consciousness and look forward to achieving it in every yoga class if possible. The mantras come mainly from the Sikh tradition since Yogi Bhajan was a born Sikh. They add considerably to the charm of his yoga. While hundreds of thousands practice and enjoy Kundalini yoga as taught by Yogi Bhajan, many more people worldwide drink yogi tea. Only a minority of them know that the creator of their favorite yoga sets and the spiritual father of the Healthy Happy Holy organization, 3HO, in which yogi tea originated, was a cult leader, sexual predator, child abuser, homophobic gay basher, and successful but fraudulent businessman. In 1968, when Yogi Bhajan arrived in the U.S., he portrayed himself as a yoga master. A few years later, he claimed to be the chief religious and administrative authority for Sikh Dharma in the West. Sikh leaders and academics from Punjab questioned the legitimacy of this position. Nonetheless, it was in this capacity he met with Pope Paul VI in 1972 and Pope John Paul II in 1984. These popes probably did not know they were dealing with a criminal and a rapist. There are pictures of Bhajan with President Nixon, the Dalai Lama, and several other secular and religious leaders. He was a generous political donor to both the Democrats and the Republicans. He maintained good relations with the governor of California and established strong ties with the governorship of New Mexico. Former Governor Bill Richardson considered him a trusted advisor and loyal ally. While other cult leaders were exposed in the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s, Bhajan remained at large. He played it smart. However, as early as 1977, an article in Time magazine used the word cult while revealing issues within 3HO. Nonetheless, there was never an official investigation. In 1986, lawsuits were filed against Bhajan for sexual abuse and other misdeeds. Yet they were all settled outside the courtroom. Over the years, his accomplices were imprisoned for drugs and arms-related felonies and financial and business fraud. He himself was never convicted. In the early 1990s, the Assistant District Attorney of California, the ADA, told a former community member that the FBI was one handshake away from Bhajan. Unfortunately, they could not close the gap. The ADA compared his gang activities with the Chicago Mafia. The ex-member said,
"At that moment, Yogi Bhajan fled from California to New Mexico, not to return for many years."
2 weeks after Bhajan died in October 2004, the Los Angeles Times wrote,
"Before he was Yogi Bhajan, Kundalini master, Sikh missionary, lifestyle sage and political advisor. With 300 yoga centers and 4,000 instructors, more than a dozen corporations, and $1 billion in government contracts for security. He was Harbhajan Singh Puri, an ex-civil servant, who landed in Los Angeles at the dawn of the city's guru boom, and inspired the hippie masses with his movie star charisma and exotic health regimen." Bhajan's legacy wasn't immune to controversy. While many see him as a tireless missionary, whose only goal was to serve humanity, others considered him a brilliant cult leader and masterful con man, who lived the life of a rock star by exploiting his followers.
At the death of Yogi Bhajan, the flags of government buildings in New Mexico flew at half-mast. 6 months later, on April 6, 2005, the U.S. Congress agreed to honor Yogi Bhajan in a 2-page resolution, listing his achievements, and concluding with the words,
"Be it resolved by the House of Representatives, the Senate concurring, that the Congress recognizes that the teachings of Yogi Bhajan about Sikhism and yoga and the businesses formed under his inspiration improved the personal, political, spiritual, and professional relations between citizens of the United States and citizens of India. The Congress recognizes the legendary compassion, wisdom, kindness, and courage of Yogi Bhajan, and his wealth of accomplishments on behalf of the Sikh community. The Congress extends its condolences to Indrajit Kaur, the wife of Yogi Bhajan, his 3 children and 5 grandchildren, and to Sikh and 3HO communities around the nation and the world upon the death on October 6, 2004, of Yogi Bhajan, an individual who was a wise teacher and mentor, an outstanding pioneer, a champion of peace, and a compassionate human being."
In September 2005, the Yogi Bhajan Memorial Highway was inaugurated in New Mexico. How and when the abuse began. In September 1968, the almost 40-year-old Harbhajan Singh Puri gave up his job as a customs officer at New Delhi Airport and traveled to Toronto, Canada. 3 months later, he moved to Los Angeles, California. By his own account, he was a master of Kundalini yoga and became Yogi Bhajan. With his handsome looks and charisma, he soon gathered a core group of followers around him who helped launch a new spiritual movement. Under his influence, masses of young people stopped using drugs and alcohol and became fully fledged vegetarians. They started growing their hair and wearing turbans as their spiritual leader introduced them to Sikhism. He determined that they should wear white to expand their auras. Each day at 3:30 in the morning, they took cold showers before engaging in a 2.5-hour ritual, including Sikh prayer, yoga, meditation, and chanting. At the simple request of their beloved teacher, they married complete strangers and moved to faraway cities in other states and countries to establish spiritual centers. These community houses, called ashrams, mushroomed and attracted new followers. In those days, many young Westerners read Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. That book taught them that guidance from a guru was needed if you wanted to live a meaningful life. Yogi Bhajan's followers believed he was such a guru. They considered him as all-knowing and larger than life, a man of great wisdom who would lead them to liberation, eternal freedom and happiness. Utterly uncritical, they surrendered control of their lives to him. Shortly after Bhajan had won the trust and devotion of many gullible seekers, he began to abuse his power and status, until he died in 2004. Over the years, his hunger for power grew along with the brutality and cruelty of his actions. Hundreds of ex-community members are still actively working on trauma recovery. A former secretary of Yogi Bhajan estimates that he sexually assaulted more than 100 women. At least 1,000 children who grew up in 3HO suffered greatly from his child-unfriendly distance therapy and other sectarian policies. In 1969, the Healthy, Happy, Holy organization was officially established. Over the years, more non-profit organizations were added, as well as for-profit companies. Yogi Tea and Akal Security, a security company that earned billions from U.S. government contracts, became successful thanks to the cheap labor of devotees in the early years. When small businesses born from the creative minds of 3HO members began to make money, Yogi Bhajan took them over. More than once he pushed the founders and investors aside. Bhajan was a genius and master in controlling everyone and everything, always. He did it so no one else could understand what was happening in his empire. Entity names, organization structures, and leadership changed randomly. The current leaders still use the same tactic. The financial flows from for-profit entities to non-profits were and still are a well-kept secret. In 2021, the names of the for-profit companies suddenly disappeared from the organizational chart on the website of the umbrella organization, the Siri Singh Sahib Corporation, the SSSC. Siri Singh Sahib is an honorary title that Yogi Bhajan took on in the early 1970s. Because 3HO was the first officially registered entity of the organization, its name is often used to refer to the totality of organizations and businesses. That is not correct, but it serves a practical purpose. Yogi Bhajan preached his own version of Sikhism. In 1973, the Sikh Dharma Brotherhood was recognized as a religious organization in the U.S. 3HO Sikhs often refer to their community as the Dharma. In Sikh tradition, the Dharma means the path of righteousness and proper religious practice. The official purpose of this non-profit organization, later called Sikh Dharma International, was to spread Bhajan's Sikh teachings in the West and support the rapidly growing number of 3HO Sikhs. The status of 3HO as a religious organization helped to keep prying eyes away from the master's nefarious and illegal activities. Moreover, it created opportunities for all community activities to benefit from the favorable tax regime that a religious association enjoys in the U.S. In 1975, the state of California approved the creation of a corporation sole. This legal entity, also used by the Crown of England, was the ultimate solution to grant Bhajan overall power and authority. Since the early 1990s, many 3HO-related entities have headquarters in Española, a small town in Santa Fe County in New Mexico. The Santa Fe ashram, which had begun as a hippie campground, moved in late 1971 to a house on a modest plot of land in Española. Over the years, the community bought more properties as the number of members increased. In 1975, 3HO bought the ranch. Bhajan stayed there when he visited Española, and lived there after he fled California in 1992. Many atrocities occurred on that ranch. In 1977, Yogi Bhajan influenced a faithful follower to spend about $1 million of her inheritance to buy 150 acres, 61 hectares of land some miles outside Espanola. Big events for the worldwide community were and are still hosted there. He named it Ram Das Puri. Ram Das refers to Guru Ram Das, the fourth guru of the Sikhs, who lived in the 16th century and whom Yogi Bhajan considered his personal guru. Puri is Bhajan's birth name. Events held in that high desert wilderness brought and still generate a lot of money. Gigi, the woman who bought the land and donated it to 3HO, ironically became homeless in recent years.